And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here in studio. We got attorney Derek Usman coming up here in just a moment. Business, litigation law, employment law. The Usman Firm, PA, handling projects here in Tampa Bay. Before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air. It's part of our real estate strategy, helps us sell faster for more money, maximizing the exposure on the sale of our real estate listings. If you're thinking about selling a property, we would love to talk to you. Would be honored to interview with you. And we have a great team of 10 to 15 agents out there, team members helping you sell faster for more money. Here's a hot listing, for example, 5930 River Road in Newport Richey. This is on the Cody River, waterfront property here, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. You have almost 2,000 square foot of living area, half an acre lot on the Cody River. Waterfront property. Bring your boat, bring your jet skis, enjoy that Florida lifestyle to the fullest right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You have a Florida room, covered lanai, French doors leading out to the lanai, metal roof, stone construction, cypress wood shingles. Too many upgrades to mention here on our radio and TV show. But check out 5930 River Road, Newport Richey, one of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Now, we also have a Dunedin property that's gorgeous, 2156 Masters Court in Dunedin. We just did a price improvement on this property. This one is a beautiful condo close to a golfing community, so bring your golf cart. You have that ability to drive golf carts around over there in Dunedin. 2156 Masters Court in Dunedin, Florida, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 20 square foot condo, beautifully remodeled, completely renovated and remodeled. Beautiful property. It's an end unit condo. You have 2 primary suites. You have 2 primary suites there as well. Kitchen has an eat-in space and a screen porch access. In-unit laundry, which is huge. You're 5 minutes from Honeymoon Island. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Quick shout out to our friend Adam Long. He's Lawn Anglers. If you're thinking about hiring a lawn maintenance company, highly recommend Adam Long and his team at Lawn Anglers. They do a great job on our real estate properties. Lawn maintenance, landscaping, mulching, tree trimming, yard cleanouts, and more. Lawn Anglers. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives. All right. And studio, Derek Usman. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
Excellent, my friend. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. And, tell us a little bit about your law firm.
Well, I do business litigation and employment law, and I practice in federal and state courts, and I am involved in cases from beginning to end, from client intake until the trial.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you actually take cases to court to go and litigate.
Correct. I always tell clients that, hey, if we're going to get into this, we just plan for the long haul.
Right.
We're in it for to go till the end.
Yeah, because I think that's a dynamic too, where you see sometimes a lot of firms, at least I hear through the grapevine, a lot of firms, they have like a very low percentage of actually going to trial. So that way, in that case, if you're a negotiator, hey, this firm's most likely going to settle before a trial happens.
Correct, and that usually shortchanges the client, and
right.
And we want the client to not just take the first offer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where you see the win-win situation there when you have an attorney that's actually willing to take it to a trial. So tell us about some of the projects that you handle. What you're doing: business litigation, employment law. What does that actually mean?
Okay, well, I'm kind of like the outside general counsel, because a lot of business don't need a full-time attorney on staff, so they hire me to do their work for them, and within that capacity, I work with them for compliance and all their day-to-day needs. However, I do private individuals and investors that come in that have had issues with partnership disputes or shareholder disagreements, and then also just regular employment law claims, like if for a religious discrimination, if you're allowed to wear a cross, a visible cross at the workplace, is that really allowed, or can they prohibit that, or is that a distraction that is a commonplace litigation issue.
Wow, that's interesting. So you've actually had cases like that, like where you'd had these religious freedoms that are infringing on. I think now more than ever, you're seeing those types of forces coming into the employment and business climate. It seems is that a safe assumption?
Correct. Because in a good way, the civil rights era, it granted protections for disadvantaged minorities. However, those same rules and those same laws apply for religious protections as well.
Right.
So all the framework and the groundwork has already been laid out from all those other cases, and it's just as applicable to religious cases.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of reminds me of that bakery. It was a bakery case that was kind of famous, right? They said, "Hey, I don't want to do this type of a wedding cake. That's my religious freedom." I'm trying to remember how that one played out. Do you recall offhand how that played out?
Yeah, that was decided in favor of the baker because they were not discriminating against the individual. It was the expression that religiously it wasn't the individual that they were discriminating against. It was their conduct.
Right.
That was the distinction. But that was something is exactly what I do here in Tampa and Middle District, Florida. I usually file those cases in federal court.
Yeah. What's some of the differences? By the way, folks, if you just joined us, we're talking with Derek Usman, the attorney at the Usman Law Firm, PA. What's the situation between state? How do you know? In other words, is it a Florida issue or a federal issue? In some cases, what's kind of the definitive line there?
Okay, it's basically, to get into federal court, you have to have a federal law that you're advancing.
Okay.
But I try to get into federal court because it's a bit more structured, and they have a timeline. So that you can't play games there like the other side. They can't delay things unnecessarily. It's more structured, and the judges have law clerks, so they have a research staff. State court, you don't have as much, so it's more predictable as far as what the decision is going to be or how they'll rule on a issue or a motion.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds interesting, man. It's definitely when you look at, and you had mentioned earlier, when two people decide to go to business together, two or more people, a lot of them make the simple mistakes of just not having the basic documents in place, the operating agreement, some of those different types of forms. Can you talk to that and maybe give an example of where you've helped clients?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. The folks always think, hey, this is my best friend or it's my brother-in-law and nothing's ever going to go wrong and there won't be any misunderstanding. However, even you go to court even when things are in writing.
Right.
And so if there's not even a writing, then you have to prove what people said at the time and what was meant. So it becomes much more difficult.
Right. Yeah. So ultimately, what's the line there? Do you have verbal? So verbals can be taken into consideration, but it's always better to have it in writing, correct?
Correct. It's if there is a contract, then it's analyzed by what's within the four corners of the document, and anything else is considered parole evidence, and it's more difficult to bring in external evidence. But oral agreements are valid and they are legal. However, as you can imagine, it's he said, she said. So,
right.
Yeah, just
trying to determine what they both agreed to when one says, oh, well, I didn't agree to that part of it, but I do agree that we had this general idea of a business or a part of that business. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's really as simple as that. Just get it in writing and take it from there. And you don't even have to get a lawyer involved, especially in the early stages. A lawyer isn't always necessary to incorporate, although I would definitely recommend you doing that. However, something is better than nothing. Just get just bullet points between you and your partners on a piece of paper. That's something is
Right.
better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Just get something in writing there. Folks, if you just joined us, we're talking with attorney Derek Usman, the Usman Law Firm, PA, right here in Tampa Bay, local area business owner, support the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show. Business litigation, employment law is his area of law practice. And showed up in my social feed. This is interesting because Keller Williams Realty, here's what it says. Keller Williams has negotiated a nationwide settlement of the Sitzer-Burnett case. And if you haven't heard of that, if you're familiar with that, it's the lawsuit that's been out there for a while. Some of the other firms have settled. And I'll give you my opinion in a minute, but let me finish reading. On terms to protect our agents, our franchisees, and our industry. The Keller Williams family needs and deserves better protection now, not later. So he says, quote here, this is the executive chairman, Gary Keller. He says, quote, we came to the decision to settle with careful consideration for immediate and long-term well-being of our agents, our franchisees, and the business models they depend on. It was a decision to bring stability, relief, and freedom for us all to focus on our missions without distractions. It allows us all to turn our attention back to what we do best, delivering unparalleled value in an ever-evolving real estate market. And so, in my opinion, what I think this whole case was, it was a Marxist movement. It was a Marxist grab to say, hey, here's an existing power structure of an MLS where you have typically a buyer and seller. You have 3% going to one side, 3% going to the other, 6% total commission. And of course, there's a lot of variations there that could be broken down in different ways. It could be 3.5% on one side, 2.5% to the other, etc. But the long term or the short term is where essentially you had someone saying, hey, let's attack this power structure. Let's see if we can shake it up. What kind of crumbs fall out? Maybe we put some business companies out of business. And then essentially what I think they're trying to do is lean it towards more of a internet-based model where you have, some of these companies where they have cameras on the front door. Oh, yeah, we see you at the front door. They'll hit a button and, trying to automate the industry, taking the realtor out of the game. So you're taking away that personal service that, and that lawsuit, in my opinion, again, is more of a Marxist type mentality, a Marxist movement. And it's very similar to what you're seeing happening, ruining our universities now. We all seen how Harvard was in the news this last week, but that's my take, and I'm just glad to see it settled. Fine, let's settle it. Let's move on. Let's take a quick break. More with attorney Derek Usman here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to take a quick break here. Coming up, we have our feel-good story of the day as well. We always love to tell you something positive here on the show. So police officers deliver free firewood to elderly citizen without heat. Feel-good story coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. They offer the very best nationwide coverage on 4G and 5G LTE networks and exceptional 100% U.S.-based customer support. Patriot Mobile offers discounts for veterans and first responders, NRA members, and families with multiple lines. Learn more at patriotmobile.com/consumerqb. That's patriotmobile.com/consumerqb. Or if you'd like to give us a call, you can reach out at 727-263-3707. That's 727-263-3707, and we'd be happy to tell you more about Patriot Mobile. Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. You can reach me at 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Reach out to the show hotline. We'd love to connect with you. Go online at consumerqb.com. You can submit an email form there as well on the website. And our goal is to help you serve as a consumer advocate, help you understand your buying decisions, help you avoid a lot of the commission-based advice that's so prevalent out there in the community. And we got a great lineup here and success stories coming up for you from Derek Usman as well. Business litigation law, employment law coming up here on the show. But let's look at one of our hot listings here, 7202 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview. This is a corner lot location. This property is really cool because you've got two businesses built in, two completely different setups. You got a muffler shop, brake tune-up shop here, mechanic shop, and then you also have another building that's operating currently as a barber shop. Could be an attorney office, insurance, real estate, mortgage, title office. 7202 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview, corner lot location, 50,000 vehicles a day passing by, and a great opportunity to own real estate here in beautiful Tampa Bay. And you can see all of our listings at platinumcoastalelite.com.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road.
All right, every day we like to tell you something positive here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and today we got a really cool story out of Tennessee. This is a police officer delivers free firewood to elderly citizen. So we had the police department up there, the Galatian Police Department, went beyond their official duties to assist a 72-year-old resident during last week's freezing temperatures in Tennessee. And obviously down here in Florida, we don't have the freezing temperatures as much, but we do get quite cold up in North Florida. The story began when the GPD received a distress call from a resident whose heating system failed. Sergeant Woodard, determined to help, mobilized a team of officers and reached out to Wayne Kelsey, a firewood supplier in the community. Despite the usual cost of firewood, Kelsey selflessly donated it to the cause. The officers delivered the firewood to the resident's home, ensuring she could stay warm through the cold spell. However, the kindness didn't stop there. Chris Alexander, owner of Alexander Mechanical, a local HVAC repair and construction company, caught wind of the story and offered assistance. Alexander quickly diagnosed the issue, purchased a new breaker, and installed it, restoring heat to the woman's home. The story highlights not only the dedication of the local police department, but also a strong sense of community in Galatian, Tennessee. A simple act of kindness has the power to change a life. All right, there you have it, our feel-good story of the day. Back here in studio, we got attorney Derek Usman in studio with us. And Derek, we always like to be that consumer advocate, help people understand their buying decisions, help make them a bit more street smart here, as we say. Can you give us a little sample of like maybe a recent success story you've had?
Sure, Brandon. There was a case, and as all your listeners are aware of, and you are adept at real estate transactions, there's something called homestead in Florida.
Okay.
Where you cannot alienate or debtors can't attach to your homestead property. And I had a case where the two brothers were owned a property together, and one of the brothers deeded it to his wife, and it became her homestead property. And I had to untangle that and remove that exemption because the exception would fall under fraudulent inducement or some sort of a fraudulent act.
Right.
And that is what takes it out of the homestead exemption. And I was able to remove it from the homestead protection, and that was in state court.
Oh, okay. So that was in state court.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, that a lot of times people try to say, oh, well, they're going to do a quit claim deed, and it's they have these different scenarios where they just think, oh, they can. In a sense, they're practicing law, practicing real estate without a license, and they're trying to make these decisions and just, oh yeah, we'll quit claim this and we'll make this happen. They can really get some really tangled situations there when it comes to that.
Correct, because even the property description, the legal description, or even any easements, those sort of things should just be looked over by attorney. It's a serious transaction, and you should get professional help, just like anything else. I don't want somebody fixing my faucet. I've done that, and I don't know the blue glue or the yellow glue. So just any little thing, or that's something significant in itself. But even any little thing in a legal transaction can just create a big mess.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say somebody has a scenario playing out in their mind. They're listening to our TV show here, or maybe driving down the road listening to the talk show, and they say, "Hey, I'd like to sit down with Derek and just kind of pick his brain about this new business venture we're setting up," or maybe they're considering suing a potential business partner or some kind of an issue that went bad. What does that process look like? Do you offer consultations, and how does that look like?
Yes, sir. Yes, your listeners can just contact me via email or just go to my website. There's different ways to reach me, and then we can consult and see whether it's a viable case and whether it's necessary and whether the economics make sense to pursue it. Sometimes it's in business transactions, it's not always necessary to go to court. It's just not worth it, and it's just a deal gone bad, and it's better to just let it go. But you've heard that where hey, I'm fighting for the principle of this.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was like that. It doesn't make sense in real life. Like, you don't want to throw more money at it for unnecessarily.
Right, yeah. Throw good money at bad money. You end up chasing it, and then let's say you do get the judgment. Now you got to try to collect on the judgment, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And it takes forever, and it's just a lost. You're throwing money out there, and you're not going to ever get it back in most cases.
Right. They call that judgment proof, a judgment proof defendant, where you don't chase it, or a company that's gone away. Like, if a company disappears, who are you going to get the money from?
Right. Yeah, because they're hiding behind that corporate veil in a sense, right? So have you had situations where they have this LLC or this corporate veil, and have you been able to pierce that corporate veil? Because sometimes business owners will spend personal money out of the corporate business accounts and things like that. Isn't that a kind of a scenario to think about?
Oh yeah, for sure. That happens all the time, and that's a one of the reasons you should have good records and minutes, even if you're a one-man show. Just have those records, because the first thing I would do is say, hey, this isn't a formal company, and you're commingled individually. You've commingled your assets, your bank accounts, and there's no minutes, there's no meetings, no bylaws. So that's important. And also the piercing of the corporate veil, that is done through litigation, and there's steps to that without making it too complicated.
Right.
You can't just do it at first, because the general rule and the presumption is that it's a legitimate company. So you have to establish whether you're able to pierce the veil through discovery.
What's the website for you?
It's usmanfirm.com, usmanfirm.com.
usmanfirm.com. Check them out online. Derek Usman, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hey, my pleasure. Well, hey, we had another great show today, and thank you for tuning into the program, supporting the show. And, you can reach out to the hotline. You can go online at consumerqb.com and submit an email form there from the website, consumerqb.com. Any of our expert contributors that you'd like an introduction to, we'd love to connect you. And thank you so much. We appreciate those phone calls during the week as well. It makes my day to be able to have those conversations with you and our wonderful audience, and support you in whatever way we can and put you in touch with any of our expert contributors. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.